I've been trying to make it through, ain't got no time for no break. Daddy told me just keep moving, don't make time for the hate. Everybody can't be doing what you doing, you be great. I've been walking with this greatness, I just play it like it's great. I've been trying to make it through, ain't got no time for no break. Daddy told me just keep moving, don't make time for the hate. Everybody can't be doing what you doing, you be great. I've been walking with this greatness, I just play it like it's great.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of COSAS BUENAS. Today I am here with the beautiful Dejanae Parkman. She is the founder of COCO, Creators of Change, Outreach and Advocacy, and I'm going to let her introduce herself and tell us all about what she has created. Hey girl.
Hey, my name is Dejanae, and I'm the founder of COCO, and like she said, it stands for Creators of Change, Outreach, and Advocacy. And so we want to create positive change in educational reform. So we want to create a quality education in Title I schools or schools that are predominantly schools of color. Yeah. We want to provide outreach for those who can't provide the basic necessities for themselves. So even by feeding the houseless or giving them sleeping bags and helping them join the workforce and get up on their feet. And we also want to advocate for racial equality and social justice because those are the big issues right now. And so that's what We Are C.O.C.O.A and COCO stands for.
I love it. So I didn't realize y'all were the educational reform part. I love that. So as y'all know, I teach. If you don't know what Title I is, it's where 90% of the kids get free or reduced lunch based off like income and status and stuff like that. So that I've only taught at Title I schools and girl,
yes, really?
Yes.
That's crazy. That's amazing. Girl, we got to hook up. I need to.
No, I had no idea about that. I'm like, what? Like, really? Like, I want to be part. Like, tell me how I can help. Like, yes.
But you tell me. You're at the school every day. I would love to know what you guys need or what we can provide and help you guys out. If you need any resources, like, hit me up. We would love to come.
Yes. No, we're going to have a conversation about this. Well, that's awesome. So let's back up a little bit before we get into what's happening right now. What inspired you to start this foundation?
I think going back, even before George Floyd, the events that happened prior to his unfortunate death kind of boiled up inside me. And I don't even just think inside me, I think just people all over with the Trayvon Martin and how that verdict went. Yeah. And then just different people losing their lives like needlessly over and over again. And I think after, even going back before that, after the civil rights movement, I think people of color, all people of color, we thought to ourselves, okay, you know, we got equality, we got Brown versus Board of Education, we got schools integrated. Now we just need to kind of keep our head down and be like, you know, good people and work hard. And if we work hard and we don't cause any trouble, you know, we'll be okay. And I think those deaths that led up to George Floyd and then even George Floyd himself kind of made not only me realize, but like everyone else realize that no, if we keep our heads down, we're still not okay because we're still not equal. People still discriminate against us. And so after George passed away, I was actually out of town visiting my grandma who was not doing very well. And so I was just sitting there thinking like, dang, I don't want to leave my grandma and go march, but I want to go march. Like, what can I do? So I wrote down a list of things that I wanted to do. I want to create change. I want to provide outreach. I want to advocate for people. And so as I was writing it down, I was like, looked at the letters, I was like, this is COCO, like COCO. And so we want to represent people of all shades, like all shades of people who want racial equality and who want to create change, who want to advocate for people who want to help. And that doesn't just mean people of color, we're inclusive as well. So we want our allies to come in and help us because racial inequality isn't just a Black people problem. It's not just a Hispanic, it's a worldly problem. So that means we need everyone to come in and help us fix this problem. And so that's kind of what inspired me and what inspired my boyfriend. He's my like co-founder. Yes. So he's helped me build this from the ground up. And we've just been getting it moving, getting it popping.
So I didn't realize it started this summer then.
So yes, it just started. We just started. Actually, the event that we met at, Hoppy's Helping Hand event, was the first event we had ever been to.
Okay.
Before we got all of our paperwork going, we were just using the money out of our pockets to help people. We did community cleanups. We done feeding the houseless. And of course, we did the event at Dallas Live together. So we're a small organization, but we want big change.
I see. I had I would have never guessed y'all started this year, like at all.
Yes. What is that? 2-3 months ago, we just started.
Wow. Okay. So I cannot wait to see what's going to happen with this because y'all started off strong. Look at you. Good for y'all. I think that's amazing. And I think just being a woman, a young woman at that, a woman of color, like you have so many advantages right now that make people want to listen to you. I feel like we have a platform right now that we didn't necessarily have before. Like obviously we can always talk whenever we want, say what we want, but there's just a different spotlight on us right now. And I love that you took the opportunity and you really did something to make change. I know something that a lot of people struggle with this summer was not feeling like they were doing enough. Like if they weren't at a protest or they weren't reposting things constantly or they weren't calling up, people felt a little helpless. So I love that you took the initiative to find a way that you could help in your lane. Let's kind of talk about that. That's not really a question I had, but what would you say to people who, you know, they were kind of like in the same boat as you? Maybe they don't need to go create a whole foundation unless God lays it on their heart. But what are some ways they can help that aren't just like protesting and the typical reposting things?
I would say there's no act that's too small to help. I think for me, I agree with everything you said. The floor is ours right now, especially right now. Sports is kind of starting back up, but especially this summer, the floor was ours. Nothing was happening. People were at home. The world shut down for us to be able to speak. And so I would say for anyone who wants to help, for anyone that wants to like create some kind of change, there's nothing too small. I know my niece is like, I've gotten her kind of into it.
Yeah.
So she'll be at school and she'll be like, texting me like, hey, so-and-so doesn't have money for lunch. Could you send me some money to Cash App? I want to pay for their lunch. Or just stuff like that. It makes people's day. Yeah. And so there's no act that's too small. You don't want to do the typical marching or the typical protesting. Something that I want We Are C.O.C.O.A to be in the future is that I don't want us to only do those things. Because I think that's how we not only kind of make our voices known and get those conversations started. I also see it as like how we respect our ancestors. Like those are people that did it back then, and we want to continue that tradition, but we also want to be the advancement for people of color. Yeah. So when we have events, we want to have events for education because the youth is our future. We want to create change for people to build wealth. So the people who are on the streets, we want them to get back up on their feet, get to work and get to create wealth for themselves. So people don't have an excuse to want to kill on the street or just advocating for equality. And so those are three pillars that we stand for. And so those are three areas that people can also really focus on creating change in, because that's what's going to actually create that change. Yeah. Is our youth, our people who are actually struggling. Yeah. And changing those laws. Let's get ourselves educated to change laws and really change the barriers that hold us back. And so if I would say to someone who wants to get involved and create that change without having to march or protest, is to get involved in one of those three sectors.
Yes, no, that's great. That's great. And like practical. I think people think it has to be like a huge act of kindness or like a huge act of like, I'm saying that I think everybody should be treated equally, and like it doesn't. Like she just said, no act of kindness is too small. I love the way you worded that. Speaking of kind of making changes and starting to educate ourselves on laws and stuff, voting is right around the corner. Like you should already be informing yourself to kind of make your decision. I'm just going to keep it real, guys. I'm having a hard time between the two candidates. I don't love either one of them.
They're not the best.
It's not. And like, I've been one who hasn't voted before because I've felt like I just like, what's my vote going to matter? I would rather vote for like city officials and the president because, you know, sometimes I'm a little conspiracy theorist. I'm like, it's already chosen, like whatever.
So you know, my niece, she's like, it's already done. It's been done. I'm like, no, it's not.
You're like, no, it's not. No, exactly. And I know that that's not the right way to think, but I guess where I have a hard time is like, okay, well, if I don't agree with this side and I don't agree with that side, like, what am I supposed to do here? And how am I supposed to feel like I'm making a change? So I guess, can we speak a little bit on the importance of voting and just that kind of stuff?
When you own your vote, you own the fact that you have power to create that change. And when you don't own your vote, you give away your power. So you give away all the changes that you could have made, anything that you could have done to sway or push the world in the direction you want to go in. And so I really say the importance of, I like how you said city officials, because sometimes we think if I vote for the president, I'm just not going to create any change. He's going to do what he wanted to do.
That's how I felt.
But it starts in your city. So whoever is watching this video, whatever city, if you're not in Dallas, if you're somewhere else, it starts in your city with your city officials, and then it goes up. Yeah. And I think we say the president because that's a person who has the most power in the U.S.
Right.
But they also have to go through the Congress and through the Senate. And those people are people that we have a way more power in voting for.
Right.
So if we really want to create change, if we want to turn our state from a red state to a blue state or vice versa, then we should be voting for our city officials. And that changes how our city officials or our Senate votes for the president. And so we really need to concentrate not only on the presidential vote, but our votes within our states and within our cities.
Yes, I love that. No, that's so true. And my thought process behind that was the same. I feel like when I vote for city officials, it'll eventually make a difference. But I guess as far as the presidency goes, for people like me, we still need to vote, y'all. So why do we still need to vote? Even if you feel like it's not going to make a difference, why does it need to happen?
It's going to make a difference. I think anytime you use your voice, I feel like sometimes we think I'm just one person. Especially starting We Are C.O.C.O.A, I was just like, wow, I'm literally just one person sitting in this like room with my grandma. I have no idea how I'm going to actually tell people that this is going to happen. But your one voice or your one vote actually makes a big difference. So vote for your president. And I completely agree with you. We're having a voting campaign, and I'm not going to lie, I'm not 100% on either candidate. I'm not a very big Trump fan whatsoever, but even Joe Biden has had his issues.
Exactly.
And so this might be a not very politically correct statement to make, but I would rather use my voice to choose the lesser of two evils, or to choose, even though this person isn't 100% the way that I want them to be, at least there is that change that's going to happen if I use my voice to make it better. So that means each time I vote, it might not be perfect, but it's going in the direction that I want it to go in.
No.
So I would say to anyone that's like looking to vote, write down a list. I'm a list maker. Woo, so many lists in my house.
No wonder.
What you like, what you don't like about each one. And I'm not going to, in our campaign, we're not pushing you to vote on either side. We're pushing you to use your voice.
Period.
And so whichever one you feel like you connect the most to, however you want to see your country going or the U.S. going, that's the way you should vote.
And something I'm huge on here is being an advocate for yourself and educating yourself. Obviously, we don't want y'all to go into the voting situation, whether you're doing it by mail or in person, and not know what you're doing, or not be informed on who you're voting on, all of those things. So, it's going to take some time to educate yourself. It's going to take some effort, but it's going to be worth it in the future, hopefully, right? And if it's not, it's in God's hands, y'all. But, we're hoping that it is going to make a difference. So even though y'all are fairly new, starting anything new, you're going to run into some challenges. As far as being a founder, let's talk about that kind of perspective on things. What have you ran into along the way that you were not expecting, or that's just been challenging?
A lot of things. We can have a whole hour on challenges.
Really?
Well, when I first posted about creating the organization, I used to be a dancer for the Dallas Mavericks. And so I have a lot of friends from different backgrounds. And I think I might have lost between 500 to 700 followers on Instagram. And that was like shocking to me, because I felt like everyone knows what just happened. Why are you on?
Yeah.
So that means you don't agree. So that's one thing. I'm just going by like the steps of creating the organization. So the second kind of challenge I ran into was asking people for help.
Mm-hmm.
I know we talked about this before, but I'm not big on asking. I like to do things myself because I want it done the Dejanae way. And so I realized that asking certain people for help, even people of color, that it felt like a door was just like slammed in my face. Like, I don't want to associate my business with anything that has to do
with
with yes.
Oh my gosh, that surprises me actually.
It surprised me. That's another shocking thing. I was like, okay. And then the next thing was with the filing for a nonprofit in Texas. It takes around 30 days to 2 months. Mm-hmm. But there were so many nonprofits being filed at the time that the paperwork got backed up. And so not being able to work or give back to certain schools or organizations because we didn't have that paperwork ready, that was kind of a challenge. Yeah, but I would say all those challenges have been offset by something really good. So every time someone told me no, I feel like the Lord was like, ha, 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 this is what you're going to get. So I did get a lot of people unfollowing me at first. And then we created the We Are C.O.C.O.A Instagram. Not that we have like thousands of followers, but on that Instagram, you'd be surprised. I think we only have around like 400 followers right now. And we get so many people messaging all the time. I can't wait to volunteer. When is your next event? And brought something good in my heart.
400 genuine followers, girl.
Yes.
Yes.
And I was sad about it at first, and my family was like, you don't need those people in your life, because that was just God showing you that their heart's not in the right place.
Right.
And so within those people, actually having people who have different resources and can help out. And so one of my volunteers actually used to work for the Dallas Stars, and she actually ran a foundation where she understands how to write grants and things like that. So actually having her come in and help out with the paperwork was really cool. Lastly, paperwork. Even though we didn't have the paperwork, just being able to talk to people actually helped more than it was emailing people. So going out and speaking to them in real life and having so many doors open so fast, it was like, whoa, okay. We're really new. We can't go to an event every day because it's mostly me and my family right now.
Right.
But it's cool to see how things can easily turn around. So I would say for anyone who's looking to start their own organization, foundation, a nonprofit, you're going to run into some bumps. But when you help people, we did our Feeding the Houseless at City Hall. And we didn't get that much money from our volunteers. So I took up an extra job for this. So I work, I go to school, and then I work a part-time job so I can pay for everything We Are C.O.C.O.A. And so I did like a whole bunch of overtime, and I was so sad giving up that whole paycheck. I'm like, it's going to be worth it. Like God told me to go ahead and like get this job so I can get all this food. And they were the best people. They were so excited. We got them food, snacks. We got the ladies stuff for that time of the month. We got deodorant. We got wipes for them to wipe themselves down. And it went so fast. They were just taking that stuff, and it makes you feel grateful and humbles you. Like, wow, this is stuff I take for granted every day. And people are out here during an entire pandemic with no food, no water, no resources. So I would say just remember your why. Why did I start this? I started this to help people. So when you face those challenges, kind of bring yourself back to your center as to why you did it, and you'll never want to stop. I never want to stop doing this. I hope it gets extremely big, and I hope we get thousands of volunteers so we can actually make a really, really, really big difference.
I think that really shows your heart in it. Like, you're not just in this, like to say you're doing it. Like, you genuinely want to make a difference. And I want to talk a little bit about like the hustle side of it. So I love the word hustle, and I don't mean like hustling people out of money or whatever like that. I mean hustle, like working hard, like putting your head down and like just going full force towards whatever you're doing. And she just mentioned, this is not her only thing she's doing. She's got school. She's like, she has a whole life on top of this, right? Like, this is just another part of her multifaceted life, right? I guess, what would you say, because it gets hard, life gets real. We're human. We get tired. What would you say is the importance of the hustle during this time right now where you're building it? Because I feel like it's easy to get discouraged right now, but like you said, you're remembering your why. Why is it so important to remember the why?
So we were talking a little bit before the interview started about all the things that I'm doing, so I'm going to catch you guys up.
Let them know.
Let you guys know. So I recently graduated with my master's in business management. Immediately started another degree after that degree. I also keep my niece. She's 12 years old. And then I work full-time as an account manager. And then I also work part-time at a gym in Dallas. It's super fun. But I do all that because I have big dreams. And I feel that if I have these dreams and I'm able to have my family support me and a house to live in, and I was able to have such a supportive and blessed life, but I'm still working hard for these dreams. Imagine if I didn't have this life.
Right.
And so I think it's important if you want something to happen, I am a big advocate on like, you got to get out there, you got to work for it. You can't expect anything to be, nothing in this world is going to be handed to you, no matter where you start. And so the importance of hustling is, and that's my brother's favorite word.
Really?
Yes. My brother's name is Charles, and we call him Charlie Hustle. And that's because he's been working since he's had businesses ever since middle school.
I love it.
Like, doing people's shoes, like custom shoes, to do everything. He's always had like 2 or 3 jobs.
Yeah.
And so I think, for one, I like to stay busy. I don't feel right if I have a little bit too much job. 2, I know where I want it to be. And I know if I don't wake up, I usually start my day around, this is going to sound crazy, 4:45 a.m.
Oh my God.
And
Like,
if
well,
I don't wake up before the sun rises and get my life together and start my job, somebody else is doing that. Somebody else is going to out hustle me.
so
And
cool.
I refuse. So if you want something to happen for yourself, if you, not even just starting a nonprofit, if you want to start a business, if you want to actually have something that has value, then you're going to have to work hard for it. And I could talk about this all day. I love
Yeah. Me too, because I think especially in these days, I think we talked about this, or I talked about this on another episode, like we just expect things to have such a quick payoff. And I think that's even why, like, tying it back to voting, people have trouble because like they want like an immediate payoff in it, you know? And when it comes to like education, even laws, reform, I feel like a lot of the stuff we're talking about on this episode, you're putting in small deposits for like a bigger picture that you may not even get to see. Like it may be a bigger picture that your kids get to see, or their kids. And like that's hard because obviously like you want to see some type of immediate change or some type of like immediate good consequence to what you're doing, right? But when it comes to these things that have been in place way before we were even born, you know, it doesn't happen that quickly. And I think it's really important to keep that in the forefront of your mind, whether it be, you know, about voting or whether it be about, you know, what you're starting, an organization, a business, however. Remember your why, like she just said, and remember that all those small deposits you're putting in, they'll eventually pay off, but you kind of have to be okay.
I love how you just worded that.
Oh, thank you.
I am going to take that. I am going to take it. If you ever see me say that, you putting in small deposits for a bigger outcome. That's going to be my new favorite phrase.
Like, thank you. I just talk, girl.
That is eloquent. No, I love it.
Thank you. I think sometimes as like creatives and creators, it's easy to like, you know, I started this, I want to see it all the way through and I want to see where it ends. But I would hope that what you're working towards is going to be something bigger than you can see through. You know, like you want it to outlast you. They say, like, I heard this I listened to E.T., the hip hop preacher. I love him. Like, love him. And there was somebody on there that said, if you create a program and you leave and like the program doesn't last, you were the good thing about the program. But if you create a program and you leave and the program still going strong after you've gone, then you've created something good. Like it wasn't just you, you know? And I feel like that should be the goal.
Great.
Like a face, okay. Like that's it. I'm gonna stop. Like next question. So, like you said, there's been some good things that have come along the journey. I love that you recognized when the challenges came up, it was doors that were closed that weren't meant to be. And I think it's great that you have family around you that kind of helped you. Something we've talked about a little bit on the other episodes is having a support system around you. You know, as independent women, we love to do everything ourselves. You know, nobody can do it like you can. But key thing to success is having good people around you, and not being so quick to just cut people off who don't agree with you and stuff, right? Or who don't tell you the things you want to hear all the time. Yeah. So what's been the importance of that for you in your like circle of support?
Yes, so I have a really big circle of support. I have my entire family. I have my love. His name is Nick. He's helped me co-found this whole thing. He's been there every single time from the start. Like whatever I needed, whatever COCO needed, anything that we needed, he helped me come up with the building blocks for the program, and I think that's really amazing. I have a few friends that I dance with who helped me with different events, and along the way, I can name them all. I'm pretty sure they're all going to watch the videos. Let me just go ahead and shout y'all out. I have Ashley.
It's your time.
I have Whitney. I have Lamont Tree. I have, you know, just my best friends, Cass and Whit. I already said Whit. But I think the importance of having those people is, I would say I won't say to hold me up, but I would say to sometimes it's better not to have yes people in your life. I can honestly say that none of my close friends or family or boyfriend is a yes person. Yeah. And those people are important because it's better to have perspective. And that's why we wanted people of all shades to come in, because sometimes if I wasn't a person of color, I might not understand certain things that people of color go through. So I might see it from a different angle. And we need to understand the angle that they see it from so that we can better help them understand what we go through. And so when I started and I would say an idea and I'm like, this is going to be amazing. Like you were saying, like I wanted results like right then. They'd be like, no, because that's not really real change. And I think that helped me actually build something that I feel like can grow. It's like you were saying, if something happened to me or if I get older and then this organization dies, I would hate for that to happen. I want it to be something that can build on and sustain for years. And so I need people who are going to give me honest answers. If people don't give you a no, or that's not going to happen, or that's not very inclusive, or giving you something other than you want to hear, then they're not your real support system. Because you need people who are going to stand outside in the heat and pick up trash in South Dallas. You need people that's going to spend half their paycheck on food and knowing that they're not going to get anything back. These people can never pay us back.
Right.
You need people who are going to stand there for you and be there for you when no one else liked your picture on Instagram. They're going to buy your product. They're going to buy your service. And they're going to stand by you. So I think that's the importance of a support system, not only to keep you going, but to keep whatever you're starting going as well.
Yes, I love that. And I love that you mentioned you don't want yes people surrounding you.
No.
No, as much as it's nice and it's comfortable, no growth happens in constantly being comfortable. And I think having your support group be honest, if anything, it's an act of love. Like, that's how I see it, as hard as it may be to hear, especially because, as independent women, we'd like to think that we have it all figured out and we know the plan. And when we see something, like, we're driven to get to that the way we want to get to it. So it's not easy to hear other people tell you no, or tell you, like, that might not be the best idea, girl, like, whatever. It's not going to be easy. It's not like we're like, oh, yes, please tell me more. Because sometimes it takes a couple days for me to be like, okay, I see what you're saying. Like, I didn't feel it. I do.
You got to marinate on it.
Literally, because, who wants to be told, like, especially when you're passionate about something, you feel like every idea you have is great, And if somebody's not being honest with you, I do not believe that they love you. Like, I'm sorry.
At all. And they don't want to see you win at all. They just want you to get out of, they don't want to keep having the conversation with you. That's how I feel. When someone tells me, like, an immediate yes, something that I have a question about, and I usually don't ask if I don't.
Right.
Like, something inside me is a little unsure, and I ask, and you're just like, oh, yeah, that's great. I'm just like, you just didn't want to talk about that. And you really don't want to see me win. So let me just not ask you again.
Yeah, either that, or, like, you'll try to talk to them about something, and, like, they just don't, they're like, like, whatever. Or you
to it.
Exactly. Or I even had friends that, like, I'm just like, oh, like, you don't know the name of my show at all? Like, you don't have to watch every episode, but, like, you don't know what I'm doing here? Like, I'm a little offended. Like,
super offended.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's just a personal tidbit, not related, but kind of. Anyways.
No, that's related. Like, you need to know everything. I had a friend who couldn't come to an event that we had, and so she ended up buying like 10 shirts.
Oh.
And I was like, thank you so much. I had no idea that you were going to do that. And she was like, I'm going to stand whatever business you have. Like, I don't know. I don't care if you're selling a fly swatter. I'm going to buy 10 of them, and I'm going to post it on my Instagram. And I'm like, that's the kind of friend I need.
Yeah. And that's a real, like, people, because your friends aren't always going to be able to help in the way that you want them to help. But if they still find a way, even if it is something as small as reposting, because people are bougie about that sometimes too, and, like, don't want to do it. But I have, like, really along this journey met some really genuine people, and I'm like, I didn't even ask you to share this, and, like, you're over here shouting out my whole channel on a random Tuesday, like, thank you. So what has been your favorite part about this journey? Like, obviously it's still in its beginning stages, but I feel like you've probably had some amazing moments. What have been the best parts about this so far?
I think meeting people like you. I think meeting people who are, like, really similar to myself and also very, very different, but also are not, I love the word hustle. So, like, hustlers and people who are out here making a difference, and sometimes you don't even realize it. Like how you're an educator, you're like, I'm passionate about my job. You're making a difference, like you were saying, that you're going to see in the long run, or you might not even be able to see. Those are my favorite moments, going to events, and I love to talk. So going to events and, like, talking to people and, like, hey, what are you doing? Yeah. What do you do? Like, how can we connect? Because I think in COVID, we kind of all lost our connection with each other in a little way, like, in some kind of way. And so I personally miss that. I know a lot of other people do too. So through a lot of these events, being able to connect with different people, and some have the same goals as me and some don't. But either way, it's like I'm growing. The more I connect with people, the more it helps me grow. The more it helps my organization grow. The more I get my message out there. And so that's been, like, some of my favorite moments is just, like, meeting people. Especially I met so many people at that event that we met at. Oh my goodness.
Yes, that was so fun. And I loved it because what got me to even sign up was he said, like, you don't have to be, like, from Dallas to do that. And, like, I'm not from here. Sometimes I just feel like weird. Like,
where are you from?
I'm from El Paso.
I had no idea.
Yeah, no, I'm from there. I moved here for college, and then I just stayed since then. So I think this month makes like 9 years that I've been here. So I feel like I'm from here at this point because I've been here for so long. But even then, sometimes I'm just hesitant to like jump all the way in. So when he was like, no, like everybody come out. And on it was such a great group of people. I think it was just so refreshing to be around people who like, they weren't there for clout or to be seen or like just like everybody was there. They put their head down. We worked. We like had a good
splitting.
Yeah. We were literally out there walking like just in the middle of, you know, downtown Dallas, like where people like spots that people avoid. And it was just so refreshing. Like it was, I don't know, that's the best way I could put it. It was refreshing, and there was lots of awesome people there, like yourself. This is where we met. Like
I know, right? Even
volunteering with you, I'm gonna need to. So she has. When I was looking at the website, there's a spot to sign up for a newsletter. At the end of this, we'll give you all her socials and website info and all of that. I'm gonna go sign up for the newsletter after this because I want to be a part of all this, and hopefully y'all do too. And again, if you're not in Dallas, there's other ways you can help, I am sure. Well, girl, to kind of start to bring us to an end, do you have any advice for any young women, any young men out there who are inspired to create change like you are?
I would say if you're inspired to create change, if you want to make a difference, I always tell people to write lists. So write a list out of what you want to make, like what change you want to make. If you want to do education, what do you want to do in education? If you want to do social justice is so big right now. Yeah, what difference do you want to make? Do you want to march or do you want to change laws? And make sure you understand that you're actually making a change. Because sometimes marching, it gets the conversation going, but how could you take it one step further? That's why I always tell people, don't actually tell yourself like, think outside of the box. You need to create your own box, stand on that box, and then be able to speak out whatever you're doing. Ooh. If you can't do that with whatever change you want to make it bigger. If you want to start an organization, make sure you can stand on that box and say, hey, this is what I've created, and make sure everyone else can see and understand clearly what you're doing. And I would also say that understand that when you start out, like we said before, no act is too small. Yeah. Nothing is too small. If I could just make a change in one person's life, then I've made enough change. So like I won't say like don't overextend yourself, because obviously I have overextended myself. But make sure that you're okay too, because you can't pour from an empty cup. So if you're to the point where you just feel like you are drained, you can't do it anymore, you might want to scale back. I know we had a conversation about scaling back. So I would also say that too, like make sure that you're okay so that you'll be able to give yourself fully to something else. So,
yes. Now all of that, yes. Snaps to all of that. Well, before we go, Dejanae, can you tell us or tell the people where they can find you, where they can learn more about COCO and get involved?
So you can learn more about COCO at we.r.coco on Instagram and Facebook. And then you can go to wearecooa.org, and that's the website. You can sign up for the newsletter, like she was just saying, and see more volunteer opportunities and events that we have coming up. I know an event that we're going to have in November is our turkey giveaway. And so we're going to be giving away free turkeys along with canned goods. And we're going to have a drive for that. So be sure to be on the lookout. If you want to volunteer for that, we give all of our volunteers free shirts. And it won't be this design. It'll be another wintry design that I think is going to be really pretty. And not just for women, for men as well. So make sure you go to wearecooa.org or we.r.coco on Instagram to find out more. And I would love to speak to you again and come to your school and help out anytime. Just give me the info and we could talk more about that as well.
Yes. Well, girl, I really appreciate you coming on here today. I cannot wait to see where COCO goes and to get involved with you guys as well. Hopefully you guys enjoyed listening to our conversation. And I really hope more than anything it inspired you to get up and help create some change, even if it's in a small way to you. Just start to make those deposits into our world's future. Yeah, and hopefully it'll pay off, right?
Yeah.
Well, guys, I will see you on next week's episode. Dejanae, thank you so much for joining us. Bye, guys.
Thank you for having me. Bye, everyone.
Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See y'all next week.